Whenever we hear that a racer isn't healthy enough to compete, we assume the poor guy's been in some sort of accident. Well, Alex Albon definitely crushed that assumption, reminding people that racers are just as human and can suffer from ordinary health complications as well. In this video, we'll be talking about Albon's return to F1 in Singapore and what the future looks like for him. First up, Alex is confirmed to be back for the Singapore Grand Prix. Alex had to miss the Italian Grand Prix due to severe health complications when he was diagnosed with appendicitis just a day before the big race. However, after spending a considerable time in recovery, Alex says he's ready and fit as he can be for his Singapore F1 return. The Thai-Brit racer extended his thanks to his friends, family, and fans for supporting him throughout his recovery. He ended off by saying that he was in no pain at all and he was looking forward to competing in Singapore. Next up, his withdrawal from the Italian Grand Prix. Before we go any further, we thought we'd just give some much-needed context for those of you who don't know what went down in Monza, Italy. The first race was scheduled for Sunday, 11th September. Just the day before the race, Albon started to feel sick on Saturday. The Williams driver was withdrawn from the event just a couple of hours before the final practice on Saturday. It turns out he had been suffering from appendicitis and it was getting worse. He needed surgery. In a statement released by Williams, it was disclosed that Alex was admitted to San Gerardo Hospital and underwent successful laparoscopic surgery at noon on Saturday, 10th September. Speaking about what happened, Alex said that he woke up on Saturday morning before the big race in Italy and he had this huge decision in his hands. Alex not driving was a risk for the entire team, but they decided to prioritize his health over the team's stats. Phew. Looking back, Alex says they definitely made the right choice. He was replaced by Formula E champion Nick de Vries, who made his F1 debut at the big race on Sunday, securing 2 points for Williams when he finished in 9th. Alex said that Nick did a really good job. Moving on, the surgery had some side effects. After a routine and successful surgery at the San Gerardo Hospital, Alex started suffering from some post-operative anesthetic complications, which ultimately led to respiratory failure. This was a known but extremely rare complication. Williams revealed in a statement that Alex was immediately admitted to the intensive care unit. He made a great recovery and was transferred to the general ward overnight. He was quickly released from the hospital and spent some time resting. When asked about his experience at the hospital, Albon said he didn't remember much because he was so drugged up. He just kept gushing about how he wanted to recover in time for the Singapore Grand Prix scheduled to take place on 2nd October. Maybe one of the reasons Albon was so eager to recover was that the Singapore Grand Prix was right after the race he missed in Italy. So if he could just recover in time for that, he would only have missed one race in Monza. Now we know what you're thinking. These races are 3 weeks apart. Why did F1 leave such a big gap? Well, the Russian Grand Prix was supposed to be held between these two races, but the contract got cancelled after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, with F1 chief executive Domenicali saying that they would never race in Russia again. So Alex had just over 3 weeks to recover in time for the race in Singapore, and he was determined to do it. Moving on, how did Alex recover in time for Singapore? A return to the tracks after just one race on the sidelines is definitely ambitious. Alex's journey back to fitness started with a bed recovery. He was expected to be in an induced coma for 2 to 3 days, but everyone was shocked when his lungs cleared in just 12 hours. He woke up pretty much 30 minutes before the start of the Italian GP. When he started watching the race, his heart rate spiked because he was frustrated he couldn't race, and the doctors advised him to turn off the race. After that, Alex made it his life's mission to recover in time for Singapore. After waiting for his lungs to recover sufficiently, Alex started slowly building up his training. He said that the team treated it like a 9-to-5 job, and that they would train and then recover. The goal was to give it their all and get better and better every day, and the progress was going really well. Alex then remembered how the team sat together to consider whether he should race in Singapore. He said that he felt ready. He credited this to his 2 weeks of training and remained realistic about the fact that Singapore would probably be the most difficult race of the year. Next up, Albon recognizes the challenge. Alex acknowledged that the race in Singapore would be the most physical race on the calendar. He said his preparation was a little different from normal, but that he felt good and felt like he was ready. He emphasized that he was not underestimating how big of a challenge it would be. He was just really excited to be hitting the track again. Regarding the track at Marina Bay, Alex said it was a great street circuit and the closest race to home for him since he's from Thailand. He said he was really looking forward to seeing the fans that had turned out. Williams head of vehicle performance Dave Robeson talked about the upcoming challenge. He recognized that late timings of the sessions reduced the risk of rain, but said that it would add to the unpredictability of the conditions because the track would would change a lot from the afternoon to the evening. Moving on, the opening practice for the Singapore race. Although Alex had recovered, a lot depended on his performance at the opening practice on Friday, 30th September. His condition would be assessed to determine if he was fit to race 2 days later at the big race. Singapore's Marina Bay street circuit is a towering physical challenge to F1 drivers, even when they're at their best. However, Alex said the Friday practice had been better than expected. When asked how the practice was from a physical point of view, Alex smiled and said he would leave it at okay. He added that this was just a quarter of what they needed to do on the actual day of the race, but that he had his hopes up. When talking about driving, he said it was great as long as he was in the car, but the heat and humidity were really getting to him. Opening up about the circuit, he said they had a bit of a disadvantage as compared to Monza. The circuit didn't go in his team's favor because it had 22 to 23 corners and very few straight lines, which could help them regain their lap time. He said that he would definitely do what he could to try to get closer to the walls to decrease the lap time. Next up, Alex gets a little too close to the walls. Alex endured a very frustrating end to the Singapore Grand Prix when his day ended earlier than anticipated. Alex started the race in 18th place, but a poor first lap led to him spinning into the barrier at the 7th turn, dropping him to the back. Things just got worse though. On lap 7, he crashed into the barrier at turn 8. When he was able to keep his car running and got back to the pit lane, it was decided that the vehicle had sustained too much damage to continue. Sadly, Alex took all the responsibility for this. He said the wet conditions of the track were very tricky, hinting that Williams needed to work on this issue and figure out why it gets so tough to drive the car when it starts raining. Nevertheless, Albon admitted that the crash was his fault. Finally, is this the beginning of Alex's downfall? Alex once again had a disappointing performance at the Japanese Grand Prix on 9th October. The Williams driver did half a lap before stopping due to hydraulic problems brought on when he came into contact with another car. This doesn't necessarily mean that Alex's career is going downhill though. We mean cut him some slack. The guy was in the ICU less than a month ago. Plus, as Alex emphasized, the track conditions were horrible and a huge safety hazard. Alex revealed that because of the wet conditions, the drivers at the back could barely see 10 meters ahead of them and were just kind of doing pinball because they couldn't see the edge of the track. They were just going left and right down the straights trying to figure out their surroundings. He reveals that this was the reason he made contact with another car. He wasn't the only one struggling though. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz spun out in the middle of the track, and Alex said it was a miracle that no one crashed into him. And that's a wrap for this video. Do you think the downfall for Williams is Albon's fault? Is this the downfall of Albon's career, or is he just recovering? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.